Welcome to Jollof and Fiction, home of African literature and stories, the kind that warm your heart like a fresh pot of jollof. Today, you're tuning into a recorded session of our online book discussion, so sit back, relax, and join the conversation.
What is going to keep you together? Because marriage is for life. I don't know, forget all this divorce talk. Marriage is supposed to be for life, so you have to be careful about decisions that you make for life. So I feel that childhood love is just, most times it's just hormones. It's just, little estrogen here, little testosterone here, So that's what I think.
Okay, Brown. That's interesting. So you think that getting married young is mostly like if your marriage lasts, it's like an exception and not the rule. And I find that interesting because I've had various varying perspectives. I personally don't have a strong stance on it. I guess people can do what they want, but it's interesting to think that it's only when you are grown that you can know definitively what you want out of a spouse, I guess. Tahila, please go next.
I feel like as a child, you don't really know yourself enough to make an informed decision. Yes, the crushes might be made from a place of innocence, but innocence isn't always a good thing. Innocence is uninformed. Innocence is undeveloped. Innocence is risky waters because as you grow up, your lives could go miles apart. Child self, you wanted to be a superstar, and then you grew up and ended up as an electrician. But I'm just saying that you don't know yourself yet. Your life is literally just starting. So who you choose at that point or who you are crushing on you can become someone totally different from who you were as a child. Totally different. People change a whole lot. Very few times before you meet people and they're as childlike or as bubbly as they used to be, or still the same kind of personality as a child. So whoever you choose at that time, there's every probability that it's not going to work out in the long run. Just like how Amy said, the exception to the rule are those sweethearts that still end up married is the exception. Most of the time, sometimes you will look back and you're like, what the hell am I thinking? So I think that it doesn't really work. It just ends there as childhood crush. But when life gets more serious, I think we should still maintain the innocence, the purity we had in choosing, in seeing people for who they were in their raw state, not just status and power and pedigree. But still, it's two completely different spectrum: childhood love and informed adult decisions. Thank you.
Okay. So I didn't really hear you clearly because your line was breaking up on my end. I don't know if it was your network or mine, but if I got you right, I think you said that when you're younger, you don't know yourself very, very well, and it's not wise to make decisions at that point in time. It's better to wait till you're older. I do have to ask, what about the people who waited till they were older and still made the wrong decisions? I mean, at some point, you're going to make these bad decisions either way. Is age really a factor in it? I don't know. Is it Chizaram? Please go next.
Hi guys. Okay, so my thoughts on this. I think I absolutely think sometimes that childhood love is as a result of, could be loneliness, could be just the fact that this person is the only person giving you attention. Because when you look back to it, people easily say that childhood love is when someone loves you for who you really are, no strings attached. But sometimes I don't think there are no strings attached. Sometimes there are strings attached because you're still developing, and as someone who is still in the puberty stage or in your teenage age, a man needs to give you certain attention. And sometimes you find out that you just like that attention, and you keep going back there, or you keep trying to see the person because sometimes you're just enjoying it, and it's a first of a kind feeling for you. So I absolutely think that growing up, I think that childhood love is just messed up, and if you did not really experience it, I don't really think you missed out on anything. Because even right now, when I see the people I crushed on back then, I'm like, what did this person have? What being an adult and actually getting the opportunity to love, to fall in love, and see someone for who they are, and then choose whether you want to go in there or not, is the best. Because when you grow up and you eventually see the rubbish you had a crush on, or you will be very surprised at yourself. Like I'm saying, because it happened to me like last week when I saw him again, I was like, what exactly was very good about this boy? Fine, you did not find. Tall, you did not tall. We don't even have the same mindset. Like we do not even connect in any way, different perspective. Like nothing absolutely should bring us in the same space. So like what exactly was making me like you? But then I realized that he was just giving me attention then. Do you get? And I was just so I really think that being an adult and having the opportunity to fully develop and know what you want, make those decisions for yourself is always the best. And childhood love is just some kind of waters that by the end, if you were not taking advantage of that your childhood love, you'll be very grateful to God. So that's what I think.
Okay, that was interesting to listen to. I felt so called out when I heard that point of seeing your childhood crush and then you're wondering, what the hell did I see in this person? I mean, I didn't even get the attention. I was just in this for the crush. I don't get. Anyway, please, Malik, you can speak.
Hi. So the question is asking about purity and something connections don't go anywhere because brain is fully developed or whatever. I agree with you, Anita, when you said after Tehila spoke, you raised the point that was like even connections or love in adulthood often goes nowhere. Yeah, I also believe that too. So it's not really a function of the problem itself might just be the fact that it is the nature of the relationship itself, so people trying to make it work, which is why it's always prone to failure. Now, I'm more interested in the one about purity because that is less of a mess to navigate. I think, yes, childhood love. Now, childhood love, I feel like we're including teenage love. I'm not including teenage love. For certain reasons. I think childhood love is purer than all the other ones. Teenage love, adult love, whatever love, even grandpapa love or whatever. Because it is immature. That's the only way I can put it. It's just about two children who enjoy each other's company, for the lack of a better word. And it's, there's this popular, is this saying or sentiment around social media that is like, better marry your friend, because if you remove the sex and the children, it's just two people who are there to enjoy each other's company for the rest of their lives, that sort of thing. And a lot of people marry people who they are not really friends with, maybe not really due to choice or whatever, but it is a lot of marriages today. So yes, I think childhood love is purer. And I don't think those connections were just doomed to fail, as most connections are doomed to fail in general, not really as a function of children or adults. That's all.
Okay, thank you very much, Malik. Are you raising your hand again, or?
Yes, I am. I actually want to ask a question, like concerning what Malik just said. So I don't know. So I wanted to ask. You said something about childhood love being very similar, which I agree. Yes, teenage love and childhood love are quite different. I saw a video today of a girl that saw her friend coming back. These children are not even up to 4 years old, is that correct? So she runs to him and then hugs him, and then he lifts her up and does this spin, like spins her around and then drops her, and then they just say bye to each other. And then you see the way she's hopping back to her father's car and she's so happy. And no comment section there, they're just saying a lot of nice things. So that is actually childhood love, and you see that these children like each other and yes, they enjoy their company. But then, the question is asking why do we think it's purer? Because at the end of the day, when we grow up as adults, we find out that our brains are not really developed, and then we just like this person for being this person. But then, if childhood love was that pure, why do they just at the end of the day grow up and grow apart? Why doesn't it just continue in that trail of just being friendship? I don't know if you get my question too. I'm just asking because if it's meant to just be a childhood love, it should just continue like that. Why do we grow up and then expect something at the end? It just goes to say that at the end of the day, we grow up, we realize that what we had or what we thought was love was not actually love. It was just, what we had at that particular time. This is just my own opinion. So I don't know if you get what I'm saying, Malik. I just say what you think.
I think I understand what you're saying, but yeah, it's the fact is children grow up. That's the problem. Children turn to teenagers and teenagers turn to adults. So also as a child, your love is blossoms really quick, and I think it's maintained when you see each other day after day, right? You go to school every day. Then first term hits or third term comes and that holiday feels like a year, and that's the end of it in most cases, because by the next term, okay, let me just cut it short. There are so many factors that cause the death of a childhood love. There are so many, and one of them, the end of it might be really that children are not equipped with skills that they need to navigate the complex emotions that they are feeling. It is nice when it is nice. It is very nice. You fight small fights like this, everything is scattered. That's how children generally are, even about losing friends and gaining friends. And yeah, so I think it blossoms when there's no conflict, right? It is very nice. And when they see each other regularly, like day after day to school, weekends are horrible. Imagine a holiday, 3 weeks, 6 weeks. So, and when they now have to rely on adult skills to handle the conflicts that their childhood brains cannot handle, it's definitely going to break apart. I think, I don't know if that answers the question, but that's how I see it.
Okay, thank you, both of you. So just to round up, personally, I'm going to come from the area of purity. So I do feel that childhood love is purer than adult love because of the innocence of it all. Malik mentioned something in this second talk about how childhood love is not equipped to handle the weight of emotions and conflict. And to add to that, I think the reason why it changes as we grow up is the added weight of expectations. As a child, nobody is really telling you, like, this is how you should behave when in love, this is how you should do whatever. You are just experiencing your emotions and going through it on your own. But the older you get, the more you hear these things for this is how you or that type of relationship. And I feel like under the weight of all of this, in addition to the fact that you can't handle these emotions, everything changes and cracks. And that quote unquote essence of purity that we had when we were younger without all these expectations goes away. And now we have whatever twisted version of love that we're living in. Anyway, moving on to the next question. Okay, it seems someone's hand is raised. Tahila, do you want to speak or is that a mistake?
Just one. Most of the times when responsibility hits, people realize that their childhood love was very, very dangerous and risky and stupid. Most of the times when you grow up as an adult and life hits and responsibility hits, people choose based on who will ease their burdens, who will make this wide world a little bit more stress-free, just a little bit. And most of the time, their childhood fantasies doesn't tick that box, and it's a very important box in adulthood. Very important. You have to choose who make life easier, bro. all wise, all wise. So I think that that's also something that affects how, while childhood love or childhood crush or fantasy doesn't necessarily progress into something serious in the future, because as things get tougher, as it usually does for most people, you just want to, your priorities are altered, and you now realize that when all is said and done and when the butterflies go, you need someone who is a true compatriot, who has your hand in this world. So yeah, that's a major priority for most adults in their love life. Thank you.
Kira. Okay, so the next question, I'm just going to read it directly. Created through sensation, sense, proximity, and shared perception rather than lasting connection. The desire feels meaningful in the moment, yet fades once removed from the conditions that produced it. The essay asks us to consider how easily intensity can be mistaken for depth. When does intensity stop being information and start becoming illusion? If you need further explanation on the question, just let me know. I can provide my opinion on what I think the person was trying to ask. Okay, has it sent? All right, it's pasted in the chat box. Okay, so when I first saw this question, I thought that the person was basically asking, oh my God, sorry, I'm having some issues. Okay, sorry, I don't delay us. Abdul Malik, since you said I should point people to speak, please speak first.
Babes, what the fuck? I just spoke. Why are you calling me? That's wrong. Anyway, I see. I've never processed the question, so you have to give me a minute or so. When does intensity stop being information and start becoming illusion? But you have to give me a few minutes to pass this question. Maybe you should give us your own interpretation while I'm trying to understand it.
Okay, sorry, I'm back. I had a slight issue on this end. Okay, so when I first read the question, I thought about it in context of the story, right? So throughout the entire piece, Babe is just telling us how the love is blossoming alongside this scent leaf plant and whatever, and how they are smelling things and doing things, whatever is going on there. But then we realize that once the proximity is absent, once they're more close to each other and doing these things, the love seems to fade. And then she realizes that, oh wait, beyond this one plant that was joining us, there is nothing here. So I think the person who asked this question is trying to find out, how do you figure out that these intense emotions you're feeling isn't actually love or isn't actually something solid, it's just an illusion? When do you know that this isn't real, and when do you know that this is actually somewhere sensible? Okay, Olivia, please. But is it she's around?
Hi. Okay, so I think this kind of like takes me back to what I said earlier when I said that sometimes we realize that what we think is love is just attention. And once that attention is not there anymore, you just find out that there was even nothing there in the beginning. So now in this situation whereby we're trying to like know, how do I even know when it's real or not? I think Malik mentioned something about why childhood love breaks apart, because sometimes when they are not there, when they're not together anymore, after a while, midterm break happens, holiday happens, or they go to college, and it's just bound to break, right? So I think that's the same thing here. Sometimes maybe the moment I think to find out what exactly you can call it is when you give yourself time. It's just that sometimes when we're getting attention from people or from a particular person, we think that person is our all in all. But by the time that attention is taken away by something different or something more important, you find out that even the attention or whatever it is that we call it was not really anything to begin with. So sometimes having priorities or being away from that person will actually help you see that there was nothing there in the first place, or even having conversations. Because from this story, they never really talked about anything. She was just all immersed by how good looking he was, and then everything else other than the main thing. So I think conversations is going to like clear your mind quicker than whatever it is you're feeling at the moment. So I think that was what was actually lacking. Conversation, attention. When you bring conversations into the attention, you find out that there was actually nothing there. So sometimes what we call love, or what we call, when you're trying to like what we call trying to be, was it proximity was what you used? I'm sorry, like I feel like my thoughts are a little jumbled up right now, but the word the person used, what the person was trying to say is, at some point you just find out that all you need is a little bit more conversation into that attention, and then you find out that you were just dealing with an empty shell. And by the end of her story, we saw that when conversations came in, it was just nothing at all, very empty.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much for that. Okay, so to be sure I understand, you're saying that if they had more conversations, she would have realized early on that this wasn't going anywhere. If that's what you're saying, okay, you responded. If that's what you're saying, I think in the piece, it was implied that they had conversations. I mean, she mentions them talking about something on Twitter. Right, they did have conversations. The problem was that these conversations lacked substance. Then the other remedy you mentioned involved space. But what if you're in a situation where this person is constantly around? What if you're in a situation where this person is constantly around and you barely ever get any space from them? How do you actually figure out that, oh, this thing isn't really going anywhere? This is just surface level bullshit at the best. So yeah, that feels confusing to navigate. So I don't know, Olivia, your hand still up. Do you want to respond, or should I go to the next person? Okay,
go to the next person, please.
Okay, Tehila, please go next. Sorry, is Tehila with us, or is her network? Oh, lovely. Okay, I just saw Ebube's comment. He says that he thinks we get to know if it's love or not when distance happens, or when there is a little issue between the people involved. Now, I get this, right? But what if distance isn't possible, right? Number one. Number two, does this mean I have to cause fights to know if this love is going anywhere? Because me, I don't like fighting. Anyway, next in line is Promise. Please go ahead.
Hi. So I would say that time and series of events demand details, and they demand expansion, regardless of distance or the lack of it. So whether people are together or they are apart, with time and with time and series of events still happen within a time period. Things collapse. Things that do not have weight collapse. Intensity through sense, through the way they speak, through a few conversations that you agree on, or a few topics you agree on, would only last for a certain amount of time. And after that, you start to ask questions as a human, like, okay, what next? What about this? How do they react to that? Because then you start to watch their behavior. You start to want more from them, basically. And when they are unable to meet more of what you want, the friendship, the relationship, okay, we're talking about relationship in this instance, the cracks start to show. You start to notice that this person doesn't have as much to them as I initially thought. So I believe that everything should be given time and should be watched. And intensity is beautiful. It's a beautiful feeling when you're feeling it at first that, oh my God, he is so this and that, or she's so amazing. and then with time you just start to see those cracks come up, regardless of if there's distance or there are issues or not. You just have to watch for them, I guess.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Promise. Malik, please go next.
So, one of the reasons why I was, I guess, tongue-tied earlier is I don't think the essay invites us to consider that intimacy or intensity is depth. I don't know why that assumption was made, but I did not get the same feeling from it. It was intensity for intensity's sake. Where was the depth? Did she ever feel like she was in love with the boy? And it's making me consider the parts of the story that were left out, right? Because what happened when that she stopped being able to go to that house to pluck scent leaf? Did the boy move out or go to school or something? I don't know. I'm just trying to fill in the blank. Like, what happened to a sneaky link, basically? Why did they stop linking up? So, yeah, as far as intensity and intimacy, I think we should also put into perspective the fact that when you're head over heels for someone, a lot of people get their brain short-circuited. They stop being capable of reason, basically. So, it's not even a matter of... if you're already feeling such intensity, I believe your brain is gone. Your sense of reason is diluted already. So I don't know if any tip is like, okay, if I'm giving tips right now or the tips we've been given, I think those tips are for the people who are trying to advise people who are already experiencing such intensity. So I don't know. So for essentially my response is, I don't think the essay asks us to consider how intensity turns to depth or is mistaken for depth. I don't think so. And when does intensity stop being information and start being illusion? I think intensity is always an illusion. So, right, that's all.
Okay, thank you very much, Malik. I think I'll just move to the next question because I'm not sure how to comment. And with this next question, I'm taking a break from love talk, please. Thank you. I know February is a month of love, but so this person who asked this question wants us to discuss African local remedies, right? So they ask, is it true that scent leaves cure chest pain? I know it can be used for coughs mixed with red oil. Can we also talk about how we Africans have neglected our local herbs and choose treatment instead? So that's coming in the paste. Okay, so I've pasted that. All right, thank you very, very much, Judith. And yeah, I agree with you that a lot of our herbs over here have a lot of medicinal potential, but they are sadly neglected for a bunch of reasons. Okay, so Promise, please go next.
Hi again. So I had written a piece earlier last year on alternative medicine, and while doing the research, I found out that people use scent leaf mixed with bitter leaf for diabetes, or this miracle leaf. So they use them for diabetes. There are other things that they use as traditional medicine. There's cabbage water, turmeric, there's ginger, onions, all of that mixture. There's cinnamon, so there's like a lot of things that people use. But scent leaf, I know for certain that there's this traditional woman who uses it for treatment of diabetes. And the problem is that we do not have a way to measure the effect of these things. We don't know for sure if they work. So if I have diabetes, there's no way, even if I wasn't like in the health sector, that I would take scent leaf and bitter leaf for diabetes cure, because there's no research that has given a fact that this works for this condition. And so I think alternative medicine within the African sector is something that we have time to explore. I mean, the Asians, I don't know about the Asians as a whole, but I know of China, it has used ginseng for alternative medicine, and they have proven that these things have positive effects to the health. We have done research, but not enough. We don't have enough research that we've not done the first part of even testing if it works, trying to extract the active ingredient that actually works for these conditions to know, okay, this is the amount, this is the dosage, this is what works. We've not done it to that extent. And so while it remains unexplored, I think that until people start doing research, that's researchers, people in the health sector, it's just something to just take as maybe a supplement to whatever real medicine you actually take. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Promise. And yeah, what you mentioned is a real problem with herbal remedies. It's part of what we're studying this semester in school. And Nigeria specifically, because that's the culture I can speak from, we do have a huge problem with research. Beyond funding, it's like there's not enough information that we can work with. I think they mentioned one place in school where currently in Nigeria, that's the one place they know that they're actually doing herbal remedies, that they are testing these things, standardizing these medications before they give them to people. And it's somewhere in Edo State. I've forgotten the name of the farm, that they deal strictly with herbal remedies for treatment of certain diseases. I think they mentioned kidney disease and diabetes, among other things. If we could have more of these locations in Nigeria, across Africa, it would really be helpful, because a lot of the synthetic medicines that they are using over there are synthesized from certain plants that are found here. And if we could figure out how to use these things, it can actually limit a lot of the drug-related problems we are having in the society currently. So it would be an interesting route to take in futuristic medicine, alternative medicine, and combination therapy. Yeah. So Uzoma, you're next. Hi, is Uzoma still on the call with us?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, so there's actually a branch of pharmacy dedicated to traditional medicine, and that is pharmacognosy and environmental medicine. It's one of the departments of pharmacy. So I have 10 things to say on this, but let me just focus on one of the main things. Many, even though it's neglected, I would not say it's neglected to a large extent. Sometimes when you check these drugs, when you check the API on the excipients used, it's just maybe let's just say the chemistry, the unpack name. If you find another name for that that excipient or API used is something that is actually used traditionally. I remember my pharmacognosy lecturer telling me, I think he said his mother was suffering from hypertension or something, and she was constantly complaining and eating money from drugs and everything, and he just packaged Zobo leaf. And but then he's somebody that exports produce outside, people buy. Let me even leave that one first. He now packaged Zobo leaf, but if you tell her that she should go and buy Zobo leaf, she will not go and buy that Zobo leaf. So he packaged it, grind it, he made sure he dried it, grind it to powder, then put it to these nice packaging bags, then sent it to her to the village. So she was like, oh, my son sent me this thing, this tea bag kind of thing. And she used it, and it was not up to 1 month, and there were a lot of problems that she was complaining of. And she was like, a lot of things are, the drug you gave me, I've worked. This thing is very, 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 very good. I want to give it to my sister. This one, that one. Zobo leaf. It's a Zobo leaf that he gave her. And I remember also another example was that my lecturer was saying that if somebody collapsed because of hypertension, you don't need to go and be finding one drug, going to give this. Just give the person a framomum. It's a very, very, very fast. It will increase the person's BP almost immediately. That there's one woman that's what she used to use. They were saying that the woman was a former lecturer and she had a problem of hypertension. So, talking about research of these drugs, most of these Oyibo people, they know. I'm just saying Oyibo people, but most of these pharmaceutical companies. It was also telling us one time that they were requesting for ogbono ogbono, grinded ogbono, that a cosmetic company in, I can't remember the country, reached out to them to export large amounts of ogbono powder. And it was like, why is this cosmetic company actually requesting for ogbono powder? He now found out that I can't remember exactly what property of ogbono powder makes it a fine cosmetic excipient to use in the production of a particular drug. Like, there are so many things. And I was even discussing with my friend today, and she was saying something about, we're talking about research, because we're like, we need to start doing research, because research is where you get out of, you make money, you get more opportunities. And she was telling me about her grandmother, that there's something her grandmother used to mix for children, all those childhood diseases, that there's one that she'll put on the forehead, there's one that she'll rub on the hand, that none of their relatives, children, suffer from all those childhood diseases that used to happen to children. They become sick, they'll be crying that none of them, all of them are usually very healthy, that once they're just complaining, she just go to the bush and go and pick them. And that she's like, she'll ask her grandma that possibly she can do a research or something like that. African medicine, even though it seems as if it's neglected, is not. A particular department, the pharmacy, is set aside for something like that, to find cure from traditional medicine, from excipients that are in local plants. Even we had a presentation on these kind of things. So in as much as it seems as if it's neglected, what I think is actually neglected is research. And why it's not used mostly is because you cannot measure the amount of drug that is in that maybe just grind bitter leaf and extract the water. You cannot measure the amount of excipients of that particular API that gives the anti-diabetic activity that is actually inside that water of bitter leaf. And so you may take overdose and cause problems, and it seems as if all these medications are not working, and all these traditional remedies are not working. They are working, just that you cannot measure it, and there's not much research done to measure the amount that is actually there. So I think that is where it is. But being used, these people, they know many drugs. It's just the big name that you're seeing. When you finally find the local name, you be like, this thing is what we have. This thing is a property that can be found in uziza leaf. This thing can be found in kola nut. Let me not even get to that. I just wanted to drop it. That is actually, they know these things are available with us. It's just poor research on it, and the fact that you cannot measure the API present in those drugs.
Hi, Anita. Still on the call. Anita, we can't hear you. Are you still on the call?
It is probably should actually get also. She has conflicted from the law.
I think her network is having issues. Okay. So, does anyone else want? Okay. In Ini, while Anita is recovering her network, let's hear from you.
Okay, thank you. You guys have basically made my points for me. I'm a pharmacy student and learning pharmacognosy. What they're teaching us this semester is on herbal remedies, and I want to say that there are a lot of herbs that can be used to treat a lot of sicknesses, a lot of diseases. It's just that the problems with using these herbs is the lack of standardization, the lack of quality control. Also, there's problems with like using the herbs is not age specific and it's not weight specific. And there's also problems with technology. We don't have that kind of advanced technology to isolate the specific constituents that we need in the herb to cure something. I would like to say that for hypertension, you can use bitter leaf. You can eat bitter leaf. Onions, garlic, turmeric, they have anti-cancer properties, so you can use it. There are a lot of herbs that help. It's just that, now this country, we don't have funds for research, and that's really bad. Yeah.
Hi, Anita, are you back? And you continue.
Yes, I am definitely back. Thank you. First of all, Uzoma, I really, really, really love listening to you speak. I was actually so excited listening to you say everything you did. And we're definitely going to discuss later. Ini, thank you very much for your input. I'm sorry I missed the beginning of what you said, but I'm sure everyone had got some information from you. Is anyone else's hand still up? Okay, Olivia, do you still want to speak? If so, please go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, basically, everybody has said what I wanted to say, Chapo. I think I just wanted to add that after the whole, this whole snake incident that happened recently, it was even from watching a video that I found out that this neem leaf I've been seeing everywhere. Neem. It's used for hair products. It's used for, different kind of cures and all. I didn't even know it was moringa. Like when I found out, I was so disappointed that I did not know her neem was moringa leaf. So, basically what they've said, I don't think the problem is that it wants to be neglected. It's just that we don't have people actively practicing this thing. Now, when we stayed in Osaka, back in Osaka, my dad was a hostel master in a school, so we lived inside the school. And then there were times when students got bitten by a snake and they took them to a herbal place. It was even recently when I talked about it on the group that then Tahila and Judith said something about it being herbal because it never really occurred to me. I thought they always went to the hospital. But then thinking about it now, I realized that yes, I remember that one of the times the man was telling my dad that, oh, you have a problem with your leg, I can give you something for it and all that. So these things are there. It's just that we don't actively have people practicing it. Do you think that if the stuff that happened with the lady happened here in Abuja and people are actively into, this herb harvesting, that it will happen like that? I don't think so. So one thing is that it's ignored. We don't know the dosage, like some people have already mentioned. Another thing is that we don't have people who are still interested in doing it, you get, like traditionally. Just we're not even looking at curing cancer. We're just saying basic household sicknesses. We don't really have people who are interested in doing that anymore. I also saw a video where someone was talking about, how people kill monitor lizards, and monitor lizards prey heavily on snakes. So, but monitor lizard is one of the highest sought after bushmeats in Nigeria. So imagine now you are eating what is supposed to actually prey on snakes, right? And then you expect that you will not have snake bites and stuff like that or see them in your environment. So the thing is just that in Nigeria, we don't have a balance. We don't try to balance the ecosystem like the way God created it or the way it's supposed to be. We are just doing anything anyhow. So it's one of the reasons our anyhowness contributes to why these herbal treatments are very much neglected. So that's just what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, Anita and Olivia, to cut you off. I just wanted to add that, let me correct you, Olivia. Neem leaf and moringa are different plants. Neem leaf is Azadirachta indica, and it has many anti-malarial properties, while moringa is Moringa oleifera. I'm using the scientific name now. So they are different plants entirely. But I actually asked that question regarding antivenom to our lecturer, and he said that simply the root of cashew plants would have been able to help that girl stay alive. So I just wanted to correct you on that. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So thank you very, very much, Olivia, and thank you, Ini, for that point of correction. Malik, please, can you go next?
Okay, thanks. I enjoy hearing you pharmacy students talk. It's quite fascinating because I know next to nothing about it. But what I wanted to draw out or point out or bring to our attention is that we all know that there's a problem with research in this country, but isn't it a little funny that of the thousands of graduates that are pouring out of universities each year, all of them, well, not all of them, I believe, let me just say most of them to be on the safe side, most of them carry out research, in quotes. I put this in quotes because, anyway, the important thing is a lot of students spend thousands of naira on research, quote unquote. And it is, while the blame or the responsibility really falls on the government to provide funding or to invest in healthcare aggressively, it is just amusing or tragic to consider that we are all, as undergraduates in final year, we are all burning money on meaningless, I don't want to call it meaningless, but based on the output I was saying, there's no other word for it, meaningless things. And all the money combined together is a very hefty sum that can be better used for meaningful things, even if not, just sad. And I wanted to mention something Chizaram was talking about. She said that there's something about people not really interested in harvesting about something. But that was curious because maybe it's because you live in Abuja or something, I don't know. If you come to the southwest, there are way too many people selling herbal medicine and in the markets harvesting herbal plants and selling them. It's an industry. Let me put it that way. It's an industry. I think the industry is booming. That's what I'm going to say. Okay, that's all.
Okay, thank you.
Don't forget to hit the follow button and tap on the notification icon to stay updated. That's all for today's episode. To join our book club or stay updated on future discussions, follow us on Instagram and X at Jollof Book Club, Jollof with a double F. And thank you so much for listening.